Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Jack Ford. When it comes to getting into New York City's 8 specialized high schools, questions have been raised whether every student indeed has a fair shot. Stuyvesant High School, often considered the city's most selective and prestigious of all of its public highs. But here's the rub. Out of 895 open freshman slots available for incoming students, only 7 African American and 21 Hispanic students were selected for acceptance. Critics say the SHSAT, or Specialized High School Admissions Test, is to blame, which gives low-income Asian and white students an advantage. But are there other factors at play here? And are there other solutions? Well, here with some insight is Alina Adams, who's a columnist for New York School Talk and an author of, among other books, Getting into NYC High School and Getting into NYC Kindergarten. Alina, we're delighted to have you
Thank
here
you
with
so
us.
much for having me.
You're certainly somebody who has studied all of this and who has lived through it. We'll talk about your own family's experiences and all of this. But let me ask you to start, for folks who might not be familiar with this test, explain what it is and how it works with regard to this selection process.
The Specialized High School Admissions Test, the SHSAT, is a test that kids take in October of their 8th grade year in order to apply to one of the specialized public New York City high schools. What happens is about 30,000 kids take the test, and then they take their score and they rank them almost literally from number 1 to number 30,000, with obviously a lot of ties. And then on the day the kids have taken the test, they have ranked the 8 schools in the order that they prefer.
So they have some element of contribution, if you will, to the decision, saying this is my order.
Yes, exactly. And not everybody chooses the same school. You mentioned Stuyvesant is considered the most prestigious of them, but the fact of the matter is if you're a kid who lives at the bottom of Brooklyn, maybe your first choice is Staten Island Tech or Brooklyn Tech. So it really depends a lot also on the geographic piece. Also, the different schools offer different numbers of students, different activities. So it's not like everyone agrees that this is the rank order of them. So the kids, when they take the test, they rank the order that they prefer of the schools. They don't have to rank all 8. And then an algorithm basically pulls the first kid, the kid who has the highest score, and it says, what's this kid's first choice? Stuyvesant. Okay, he's going to Stuyvesant. Then they go 2, 3, 4, 5. They pull the number 500th kids. What's his first choice? Bronx Science. Okay, he's going to Bronx Science. You know, keep going down. They pulled the 1,000th kid's name. What's his first choice? Stuyvesant. Stuyvesant is full. What's his second choice? Bronx Science. He's going to Bronx Science. And so on down the list until all the slots in every school are filled.
So am I correct then that that's the absolute determining factor for where they go? This is not like college applications where they'll say, okay, let's look at what they did in school. Were they in the drama club?
Right.
Were they?
You are
were they an
100%
athlete?
correct.
So that number puts you in.
Nothing else matters. Your grades don't matter. Your state test scores don't matter. Your attendance doesn't matter. Extracurriculars, interviews, portfolio, none of that matters. The only 8 schools in the city that admit that way are the SHSAT schools, and the SHSAT is the only thing that matters.
So I want to get to all of this in a second, but just to sort of flesh out this picture, there are some 400 high schools in New York City.
Yes, and about 700 programs within them.
Within those. And am I correct that there are some other high schools that are selective in some way, shape, or form?
Yes, about 100.
And what do they look to in terms
about
of factors?
130 schools are what's called screened schools. They're either standalone screened schools or they're screened programs within other schools. They do look at grades. They do look at state test scores. They do look at attendance. Some of them will ask the kids to submit a writing sample. Some of them will have them write to a prompt. Some of them have their own test. Some of them have an interview, and some of them review portfolios. And some of them also have a performing arts component. So those are screened schools. They are separate from the SHSAT schools.
Now, I've mentioned that there are some concerns have been expressed about this test. The mayor has essentially said this is unfair. We want to do away with it.
Well, now that his own son has graduated, the mayor
that's an interesting observation. And you wrote a very interesting article where you said, essentially, look, we're killing the messenger here. Why do you then think, or disagree, I think it's fair to say, with the position of the people who are saying we need to throw this test out to make sure that we're more fair and our students have better opportunities?
Well, first of all, once again, let's look at the numbers. 8 SHSAT schools, 130 screened schools, 400 general high schools. So first of all, we're just focusing on a tiny sliver of schools that affect a very, very small percentage of the population. Second, the mayor is trying to change admissions to the SHSAT schools, which he cannot do on his own. Well, actually, he could to 5 of them. He can't to the big 3, as they're called, Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, and Brooklyn Tech. That has to be done at the state level. That has to go to the state assembly. He could change admissions to the 130 other schools. He could change admissions to all of the other public schools, which affect so many more students, especially students of color, especially low-income schools. So to start with, I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. We're trying to change 8 schools instead of all of the rest of them. The second issue is the SHSAT is a diagnostic. It shows what a terrible education the majority of the kids in New York
Why do you
City
say
are
that?
getting.
I think that's it, because a lot of people think, well, this test is a big deal. You say, look, this test essentially is a symptom of the disease. The test is not the disease.
Yes, very much so. Here's the thing. The test is above grade level. It's one of the reasons that people say, well, state test scores should be just as good for applying to an SHSAT school as the SHSAT is. State test scores tell you if the child is on grade level or slightly above grade level. The SHSAT actually tests subjects like algebra. It has some geography on it. It has, geometry. Doesn't have geography. New York schools are not good with geography. It has algebra, it has geometry, it has some grammar and all of these things. They're looking for kids who are enough above grade level that they can do accelerated work. Some kids come into Stuyvesant and they can take an AP class in freshman year. They're prepared for that. So the fact of the matter is state test scores are not equal to what the SHSAT is testing. So what the SHSAT is showing is how very, very few New York City students are prepared to do accelerated work.
What is, you and I could talk about this forever. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time. But so clearly your thesis is this is showing us that the schools are not doing a good job, that so few people are prepared for this above level. What's the answer?
Well,
what should we be doing? What do you think New York City schools should be doing instead?
Well, first of all, let's talk about raising the bar for all kids. Right. And let's talk about raising it not in 9th grade, but raising it at the kindergarten level. The mayor keeps adding more pieces to the school system. He added UPK. He is now trying to add 3PK. But the fact of the matter is the bar is still so low. I mean, what we call gifted education in the United States would be considered general ed and 3 years ago in Europe and Asia. If those kids can do the work, there's no reason why our kids can't do the work.
Well, as I said, you and I could talk for hours about this, and we're going to get you back in and talk some more about it. Alina, a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
We'll look forward to talking with you again. You be well.
Thank you.